What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Adam. It is chaos to come back. It is still July 29th. I'm just going to going through some of the things I wanted to talk about over the last week or two that I haven't gotten around to yet. And so if you want the up to the minute update and you want to interact, you want to ask me questions, find out what's going on, you got any burning questions on your mind that you need my advice for, or to know the answer as to what's going on, every Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Time, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and wherever it is, whatever it is where you live. I should probably just do it in Greenwich Mean Time and let you all figure out. I believe this is GMT -6. I don't... You can figure it out. It's not that hard. You can watch the replay, but you're going to watch commercials if you watch the replay. If you're live and in effect in the house when it's going down, there won't be any commercials. Just hanging with my people. If you want some other information and you want to drop money in a chicken bucket, you want to buy something, you want to look at social media, whatever, it's all below in the description, and that's the plugs. Back to the Tour de France. I'm watching right now. I'm on stage 15. I don't even know if I'm halfway through the race. They're adding up in my queue, my watch later queue. The women's Tour de France is going down right now, and I won't even have finished the men's before I even watch the women. But I'm definitely going to watch the women. Part of the reason why it's taken me so long to talk about the Tour de France is because my commentary, you're going to get sports commentary on this channel that you won't get anywhere else. Part of the reason I'm still talking about stage 12 in the Tour de France 2025, just in case this all bleeds into next year, is because I started talking about how the Tour de France related to me being on a soccer team full of strippers. But, you know, like the saying goes, I see London, I see France, I can see your underpants. They definitely go together. You'll have to watch yesterday's video in order to see how, but it all goes together, believe me. Back to stage 12. A lot of screwing around at the beginning of the race. A lot of back and forth. It was flat, and a group of 51 riders broke away from the other groups. I guess you call that the peloton. I don't know. The breakaway when it's 52 riders, is that the peloton? I don't know. But they got about 1:40 seconds ahead after screwing around, and there were 92 miles left for the day. Lenny Martinez, the King of the Mountains leader, was in the breakaway. You'd think he was going to put up a fight, because whoever gets up the last climb is going to get enough points to possibly knock him off the King of the Mountains jersey. He's got 27 points so far in that competition. There's 40 total points, I believe, available at the end of the race that day, but I think it's divvied out amongst like the first 10 riders that go across the line. So the first person gets 20, 18, 10, all the way down. First climb of the day is only worth 1 point. It's like a category 4. The categories are, the lower the number of the category, the more ridiculous the climb. So a 4 is the bottom of the barrel. It's the first level of a hill that they actually call a climb, and it's serious enough that they'll give you a point for that jersey. But it goes 4, 3, 2, 1, and then they got beyond category because they ran out of numbers, because the idiot that came up with the hill numbering system went backwards from a 4 instead of starting at a 1 and there wouldn't be a beyond category. You could have a category 50. So some ding dong came up with that system and screwed it all up. But beyond category means you're going to get like 20 or more points for getting up to the top of that hill first. The first climb of the stage was worth 1 point. The second climb was worth 10 for going over the line first. That's why in the beginning of the Tour de France, for the first 6-7 days, the King of the Mountains jersey will be, there's always points available. Usually there's at least 1 point somewhere available, but those stages in the early part of the race are usually pretty flat, and they're meant for sprinters to get their chance to win some cash prize money. And then they get into the hilly areas and then mountains. So it's a bunch of different kind of racing. And so that's why you could get all the way to the mountain stage with the King of the Mountains jersey and have like 10 points to your name. And the first stage in the mountains, somebody could come along and win like 30 points in one day if they're on their game. And so the second climb of that day, he's got 27 points, but the second climb is worth 10 to the person who goes across the line first. And there's points to be had as the next 3 to 5 people go across the line. So if he doesn't win the stage, Lenny Martinez, which he probably won't, and he wants to keep that polka dot jersey, he's got to gobble up as many of those points as he can along the way. And so the reason why the winner of the Tour de France typically doesn't get the green jersey and the polka dot jersey is because to win the Tour de France, you have to have like this endurance. And so you've got to kind of manage your energy. So you can't go sprinting up every single hill of every single race to get the polka dots, because now you're going to be tired and somebody else is going to take the yellow jersey from you. And you can't try to battle it out for every single green jersey sprint point, because you might crash. You might be in a group of riders trying to hammer down 50 miles an hour on flat land, and a big crash happens at the front of the race. But if you were in the yellow jersey and you're hanging back and just, you guys go at it, then you can just coast on by, keep your yellow jersey. So I think when the winners of the Tour de France win multiple jerseys, it's kind of like, because they they cross the finish line first and they accumulate all those points that are for offer at the finish line for whatever reason. And it's kind of like they weren't trying to get the other jerseys, but they did. So Tadej Pogačar there's been days on the Tour de France where he's wearing the yellow jersey, the polka dot jersey, and the green jersey, and the only reason he doesn't have the white jersey, the fourth one, is because he turned 26 in January, and he missed the cutoff date. So the white jersey for the youngest rider would be, if you're in the yellow jersey and you're a young rider, you also have the white jersey by default. So Eddie Merckx might have swept all 4 jerseys in the Tour de France and claimed them all. He's one of the greatest cyclists that ever lived. But even in those days, it could have been that the race format was set up that he just got them. I don't know if he tried to get them or if he just got them because he was in the right place at the right time. So the peloton, they got 2 minutes ahead. The polka dot jerseys in the peloton, the yellow and green and white jersey riders are all in the same group. Now the yellow jersey and the white jersey are both Ben Healy at this point, because he got himself into the yellow jersey. But Remco Evenepoel is wearing the white jersey, because if you're wearing more than one jersey, if you're in the lead, then they give that. So if you're in the yellow jersey and the white jersey, they'll make the second place contender for the white jersey wear the actual jersey that day. you're not going to wear all the jerseys, or they don't have a special striped jersey that shows all of them at once. They'll just make the second place for the jersey wear the jersey, the actual jersey. Because they have these jerseys, they're easy to spot. You got a group of 100 riders all riding together. Oh, there's the yellow jersey, there's the polka dot, there's the green. You can see them. Somebody suggested during my live stream that if somebody could win every stage of the Tour de France, they should have a prize. It's never happened. But I'd say give them $1 billion. Have a $1 billion prize if you could win all 21 stages of the tour. 3 riders have won the most stages in a single Tour de France, and each of those, they won 8 stages out of the 21. That's the most anybody ever won. Some dude did it in 1930. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name. Eddie Merckx did it in 1970 and 1974, and then Freddie Martins did it in 1976. But what about the early tours, like 1903 and the early years of the Tour de France? They only had 6 stages instead of 21. Starting in 1903, however, no rider ever won all of the stages. In those shorter formats where they only had 6 stages, Maurice Guérin in the inaugural 1903 tour, he got 3 stages. Another guy, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, in 1907 did it, getting 3 stages. And it's just the diversity of the kind of riding, the varying distances, and the different competitive fields and the different kinds of riders. It just makes sweeping it's an unattainable goal, because different people are going to do different. Each stage of the Tour de France is suitable for a different kind of biker. So typically the types of rides: flat stage, where it's pretty much flat the whole way; time trials, which are a rider against the clock. Then they could have a hill time trial, which they had this year, where it's going against the clock but up a mountain instead of flat or rolling terrain. And then mountain stages, which are just straight up mountain climbing. And then they have hilly stages, which are not mountains but not flat. And so those are the kinds of rides, and each one is suitable for a different kind of racer. And there's lots of different specialties that all get together to do these races. Different people do different things. The sprinters, the guys that can win when it's a flat race, they typically don't do good when there's hills. It's the same reason why Usain Bolt in the Olympics will win the 100-yard dash and set a world record, but if he had to run a mile, he probably wouldn't win. They're just different people are good at different things. One of the things they show on the TV, they got all these riders, they got their Fitbits, but they all use this one called Whoop, or just it's a new brand. And I think it's all because, they're probably getting them for free. They're getting paid to wear it, like celebrities get paid to wear Oakleys or Ray-Bans, and they get them for free, And so all these riders, they're showing their Fitbit readouts, their Whoop Fitbit readouts on TV as public knowledge, showing them how much sleep they got, how many hours of sleep they got, how much they recovered, and all this other data. And I'm like, man, if they start they're just making these riders' data public. Like, what if a rider gets up, what if there's a spike in a rider's heartbeat at 2 a.m, right? Maybe he got up to rub one out or bang his wife in the middle of the night and go back to sleep, but there's this spike in the heart rate. It goes from 50 beats per minute to 130 and then back down, and it shows that he was awake for a brief period because he had to knock one out or get it on with his wife to rest, to get in the right frame of mind for tomorrow's race. Are they just gonna put that shit out for the public to read and like speculate about? Like, that's getting a little bit crazy right there. That's like when the astronauts would go to space, the Apollo 13. You ever see the movie Apollo 13? Tom Hanks takes off his heart chest strap, and all the people in mission control are like, we don't have your heartbeat. What's going on? We can't see your heartbeat. And he's like, leave me the fuck alone. That's what's going on. Like, you don't need to be up to the minute on my fucking heartbeat right now. Just let me do my fucking job and fuck off. So, yeah, I mean, now the Tour de France riders, I guess you can watch their fucking heartbeat in real time and log into a website and watch all their fucking stats from their fucking fit bands and stuff. Like, that's crazy. It's fine to use that shit, but do they gotta put it all up in the public for everybody to see? I don't know. Like, are we gonna start getting live stool sample results like on the next year's Tour de France? Like, well, Jonas Vingegaard, he had peanuts in his poo this morning, and Tadej Pogacar must have eaten some corn on the cob at the team dinner last night, and well, that's going to give him some extra carbohydrates on today's stage, and blah, blah, blah. But peanuts are good, and peanuts have essential fatty acids, and come on, man. So far, it's 12 stages. They're on stage 12. 5 different riders have put on the yellow jersey. So, no, nobody's going to win all 21 stages. Nobody's going to get the yellow jersey on day 1 and then wear it the whole 21 days. 23 days. Because they have 2 days off. I keep seeing they keep showing these ads all over the tour about this show called Poker Face. They'll show, like, you know, when you're watching the Super Bowl or whatever, and once they figure out that the game is pretty much over, and they're like, all right, so coming up this week on NBC, blah, 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 the show by Rian Johnson, the guy who ruined Star Wars and reduced Luke Skywalker into a washed-up old hermit drinking green titty milk. From Space Cows comes Poker Face, this new show, right? And blah, blah, blah. And they just keep reading this promo over and over again. But, a fun fact, on stage 12, Bob Roll, the commentator, who won the sidekick to Phil Liggett, Phil Liggett has been the cycling announcer on TV since before I was born. I've never heard anybody else narrate a bicycle race ever in my life. But they're getting other people ready because he's not gonna last. He's kind of up there with Ozzy Osbourne. He's like the Ozzy Osbourne of cycling. You know, I'm predicting that within the next year, Keith Richards will no longer be with us. Phil Liggett won't be with us anymore. Joe Biden won't be with us anymore, and there's probably a few more. But anyway, Bob Roll had a little comment that this girl, Natasha Lyonne, the star of Poker Face, used to be on Pee-wee's Playhouse when she was a kid. And I talk about Pee Wee Herman riding his bike, how Pee Wee Herman had a red bike, and it was, there's a whole movie about it. Someone stole his fucking bike, and he went and got it back. And I would go through just as much. I would do the same thing. If someone stole my red Rocket, I'd do whatever it takes to get it back. But this chick, who's a star of this show, used to be on Pee-wee's Playhouse with, or Pee-wee's Play With Yourself Playhouse, whatever you want to call it. I think, and by the way, like, they say people's names don't mean anything when you become an adult, but I've never seen a skinny, hot girl named Bertha in my life. And Bob Roll, that's his name, Bob Roll. Isn't that kind of like the perfect name for a bicycle racer? Let's roll, Bob. Right? He used to ride with Andy Hampston on the 7-Eleven team way back in the day. Before Greg LeMond, Andy Hampston was the most famous cyclist in America because he won the Giro d'Italia, the Tour of Italy. But nobody gives a fuck about the Tour of Italy. That's when you don't know his name. Unless you know about cycling, you'd never heard that guy's name in your life. Greg LeMond won the Tour de France. Y'all know who he is. And isn't that like... I mean, Lance Armstrong and the other Americans in the Tour de France, they're the only names I could ever pronounce. Lance Armstrong. Pretty fucking easy to pronounce. But like Greg LeMond, riding in the Tour de France, right? You would think it was a French guy. Greg LeMond, right? You would think, and you know, nobody had, the Americans back when Greg LeMond was in cycling, the Europeans had absolutely no respect for Americans in cycling. And now they still don't, but for totally different reasons. But nobody in Europe thought an American could win European cycling races. And I always wonder, did Greg LeMond get his career going in Europe when he started becoming a professional cyclist because they all thought he was French? Oh, Greg LeMond. Oh yeah, he can be on the team. Greg LeMond is perfect for our European cycling club where we hate people from America. He probably got in the club because his name sounded like he was French. And then he shows up and he's like, hey, what's up, everybody? Where's the closest Taco Bell? And they're like, what the fuck's going on, Greg LeMond? What's going on? They probably thought he was French, and then when he showed up speaking English, they're like, shit, we just been duped. But then he started winning races, so they're like, all right, we'll let him stay. But anyway, total King of the Mountain points available on stage 12 were 120. I mean, all the points accumulated up from stage 1 to stage 11 were almost pointless. Now one person can't collect all 120 points, but it's like on the bigger climbs, the first person gets 20, then the next person gets 18, 16, etc. down. Like the first 10 people will get some points. So Martinez, if he wants to keep that polka dot jersey, he's going to have to push and get some of these points before the finish line, because when the battle breaks out for who's going to win the stage, he might not be able to hold his own. But he wants to keep that polka dot jersey, so he's got to fight for it. There was another costume that got nominated for the best costume of the Tour de France. The helicopter flew by a castle. And on the top of the castle, this big freaking castle overlooking this town, there were a bunch of dudes having a medieval sword fight with their fucking Dungeons and Dragons costumes and stuff. Having like an actual sword fight with shields and swords and stuff like that on top of this castle. And but that's like the kind of stuff, that's why I like watching the Tour de France, because the sideshow, the crowd, is just as exciting as the game itself. You don't see that kind of shit. You don't see people having a medieval sword fight up in the stands at the Super Bowl. The most exciting thing they ever show you in the Super Bowl is like, oh, look, it's Taylor Swift. Oh, look at Taylor Swift again. Oh, there's Taylor Swift in the crowd. Oh, there's Snoop Doggy Dogg. Oh, here's another celebrity. Like, that's all they show you. It's just, oh, here's another celebrity in the crowd. Oh, here's someone with a funny sign. Blah, 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 whatever. The closest thing the sideshow at the Tour de France is out of this world. It's the people on the side of the road are more entertaining to watch than the guys on the bikes. So the sword fight, the medieval sword fighters, they got nominated for the best costume in the Tour de France. I mean, the closest thing I've seen to cool stuff like that is at the South Africa World Cup, where they passed out all these plastic horns to the people. Stadium full of 100,000 people, and they gave everybody a plastic horn. And so the whole soccer match, you hear 100,000 people just going, with these fucking horns, and it was just this roar. In fact, I think they banned this shit at World Cup games in the future because people thought it was so annoying. But you would watch an entire soccer match, all 90 minutes plus stoppage time and halftime, and all you heard was 100,000 people blowing plastic horns going, like, could you imagine playing that fucking soccer game? And that's all, you can't even hear yourself. You can't hear the team members yelling and screaming at each other. All you hear is 100,000 people. Non-stop for the whole 90 minutes. You don't see that at the Super Bowl. You don't see anything like that. The only time I ever heard anything like that would be like downtown Pittsburgh on St. Patrick's Day. They would pass out these same fucking horns, these plastic horns, to everybody at the St. Patrick's Day parade. And then when everybody's down at the bars in Market Square getting drunk off their ass, that's all you hear all day long. There were a couple of times I'd have to work in an office building downtown Pittsburgh. We'd have the window open and we'd be listening to the drunks. Before we go join them, all you can hear all day long is coming through the streets and echoing through all the buildings and stuff. Hilarious. But yeah, those guys, it looked like this thing called the Massacre Festival in Pennsylvania, which was just down the road from my house. It was this big giant campground where every year they have this medieval sword fight festival where all the Dungeons and Dragons nerds from all over the world come to have like pretend sword fights out in this big open field with these castles and stuff. And it's like a big deal. I met a guy in Rochester, New York. I met a guy from London at a business trip. And when we started talking, he asked me where I'm from. And he goes, "Oh, I go there for the Massacre Festival every year." Holy shit. I'm like, "Well, that's 15 minutes from my house." And so he was like, "When I come down to the Massacre Festival this year, I'm gonna look you up. We'll go have a couple beers or something." But unfortunately, I was in federal prison at that point, so I couldn't meet up with the guy. In the Tour de France on stage 12, they have 9 areas where the team staff stand on the side of the road with bags of food and water bottles. They have like certain where it's fast on the flatlands. They have designated spots where they're supposed to. That's the only place that they can stand and hand food out to the bikers, food and drinks. But on the hill climbs, they can pretty much go wherever they want to go and set up because the speeds are slower. But they use the teams now because they can't cheat like Lance did. So they're doing everything that they can legally to keep the speeds fast. This year's Tour de France, they're going faster. Lance Armstrong, with all of his fucking juice and his cheating and everything, wouldn't be able to keep up with this year's Tour de France. They're going faster than they've ever gone before. And it kind of blows my mind. I'm like, really? They're not cheating? Really? They're not? They're going faster than they've ever gone before, but they're doing it totally legit. But one of the things, I guess they're using science, right? And they're using, they have remote doctors on staff, like nutritionists, that they calculate the workload and the nutrition package scientifically for each rider so that they get the exact number of like gel packs and sports drinks and all of the different things that they would need in order to get through the day. Whereas back in the 60s, the riders would just, they might get a food bag, a bag with some baguettes or whatever, some bread, and but then they would just all stop in the middle of a town, run into a cafe, steal all the wine bottles and beer bottles that they could find, throw them in the back of their jersey pockets, hop back on their bicycles and take the fuck off. And They could do that faster than taking a piss on the side of the road or changing a flat tire. And just send the bill to the team director as they take off, right? But now, I mean, they're using science to cheat legally. Aerodynamics, bicycle technology, nutrition. So they're training. These riders have to train specifically to be able to gobble down the amount of carbohydrates that would make a normal person puke all over the place. They have to like train for about a month or two before the race to shove food down their body without throwing it back up because they have to eat so much. You can't. These riders, they have to shove so much food and so many carbohydrates into their body to get through the end of the day that, and if you don't do it at the speeds that they're riding and at the tempo that the Tour de France is being raced this year, if you can't sugar bomb all day long, just sugar bomb, it would be like me eating a cookie this big at the bakery once an hour if I'd have to eat 1,000-calorie cookie once every hour for 5 hours straight. And there are times where I had a chocolate tres leches Oreo cookie crumble cake yesterday, and it was 930 calories according to the nutrition guide. And I felt like I didn't feel right after eating that. These racers would have to eat 6 of those while they ride their bike in order to keep up with what they have to eat. A human being can't eat this much shit, so they have to train, just like the hot dog eaters that go to the carnival and win the hot dog eating contest. The bicycle racers have to have a gel and Cliff Bar eating contest to like train themselves. You can't even eat the amount of food that you have to eat to get through one day of these bike races without training your body to accept the food, without throwing it up. That's fucking crazy. That's fucking crazy. They have to eat 200 grams of carbohydrates per hour. I'd rather just race back in the 1960s where you just had to rob the liquor store and come running out with 6 bottles of wine. Send the bill to the team director. I'm out, you bitches. I'm on my way. That was a much better Tour de France. I could do that. I could drink 2 bottles of wine in a 6-hour bike race. Fuck yeah. It would make the pain go away. Pass me the weed and the bottles of wine, and I'll be fine. I'll get to the finish line. I won't remember how I got there, but I'll get there. I'll fucking get there. And then, but what happens when the riders steal 6 to 8 bottles of wine from the cafe and they're passing them around, and then it's like, hey, did anyone forget to steal a corkscrew? Like, what the fuck happens if nobody stole a corkscrew? Or did they bring a corkscrew with them in their jersey pocket just for the occasion? Or do you gotta do this ghetto bullshit where you have to poke the cork down into the bottle to pass your wine bottle around with a fucking dirty cork floating around in it? But it's not like you're gonna need the cork. You're just gonna pass that around, and I could drink a whole bottle of wine on a downhill, toss it off to the side of the road, and I'm ready to go for the next climb. That's for fucking sure. But what if they had to poke? Did any riders ever get their finger stuck in a wine bottle trying to poke the cork down in it because they forgot to bring a corkscrew, and now you're riding around on a fucking bike with a wine bottle hanging off your finger while you're trying to squeeze the brake levers and shit? That's gonna slow you down, right? I don't know how it all worked back in the day, but I feel like the 1960s were way more fun than the 2025s. Any day of the week, I would much rather have lived through that time than this. Somebody on Tadej Pogacar's team got all upset and angry, and they were playing the radio commentary back of the team radio. That's public now. They play the team radio, and you hear what they're saying sometimes. Dude got all mad because there was no slushies left in the team car. And then Bob Roll gets into the commentary. He said, if he had known how essential Slurpees were while racing for the 7-Eleven team back in the 70s, he said they should have brought a Slurpee machine to the fucking Tour de France. They probably would have won, but nobody was thinking about it back then. But if anybody could have supplied their team with a non-stop supply of Slurpees, it would have been the 7-Eleven team, wouldn't it? But, Apu was such a cheapskate back then that they didn't see the value of bringing a Slurpee machine to the Tour de France so that the riders could have a cold, refreshing drink. This is why I love watching the Tour de France, because it's fucking hilarious. Football isn't that funny. It's not that entertaining. It's just a bunch of fucking dudes they hike, and then for 5 seconds they play sports, and then they stand around for about 2-3 minutes, shoot the shit. Let's come up with a plan. What are we gonna try next? This guy got hurt. We gotta stop the game. Another 20-minute break. It's fucking boring. There's 15 minutes on the clock in a football game, and it takes an hour and a half for that 15 minutes to go by. What the fuck? Because they're just standing around doing nothing. If I could, that should be my plan for the bakery, stand around to do nothing and make that clock just, I worked for 15 minutes today, but it took 8 hours to do. So, it's no different playing football. That's why I like the Tour de France. People are like, oh, bicycling is boring. Who wants to watch people ride a bicycle all day long? A 19-year-old kid was just killed in a bicycle race because he was going 50 fucking miles an hour down a hill, and he hit a speed bump that the fucking suburban douchebags put in the middle of the fucking road, went flying off his bike and hit his head on a fucking pillar of concrete, even though he was wearing a fucking helmet. How many people die playing football? Football, they run around 5 seconds, throw a ball, drop the ball, whatever, stand around, and then after they're done standing around, they take another break, and then the other team comes out onto the field. They never play the full game. They play for 5 fucking minutes. Then the offense comes onto the field, and the defense gets to go sit down on the bench for half an hour. And then, somebody's going to kick the ball. Well, we got special teams, so the offense and the defense get to come sit down on the bench while the special teams plays. And the special teams people, they play for 5 minutes a game. Oh yeah, football, it's so fucking exciting to watch. I love it. But a bunch of guys in a group of 150 bikers with no shoulder pads and, no padding at all go zooming down a mountain pass in the Alps at 70 miles an hour on a bicycle. All bitching about having to wear helmets because in 2003 they finally made the bikers start wearing helmets against their will. They didn't want to wear helmets. So, yeah, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, football's exciting and bicycling's boring. Keep telling me that. I think the biggest thing in football is the Super Bowl. And it's boring. It's fucking boring compared to this bike race. It's a stadium full of a bunch of douchebag celebrities sitting in a giant bowl in a giant amphitheater, a giant coliseum, watching a bunch of dudes take turns running for 10 seconds at a time. And then, waiting for their turn for the camera to show them on the Jumbotron and for everybody watching on TV. Oh, there's Taylor Swift again. And while some washed up fucking celebrity does a lip sync performance for the halftime Super Bowl show, they're not having sword fights up in the fucking box seats wearing medieval clothing, going at it with real swords and shields like they do at the Tour de France. Anybody can be famous on the Jumbotron of the Tour de France. Show up with a good costume, they're going to put you on TV. And 150 million people watch the Super Bowl. That's a lot. But 3 billion people watch the Tour de France. Somebody in my live stream last week was like, the Super Bowl is way more popular than a stupid little bike race. And I'm like, dude, America is just one country, a little spot on a map on a whole globe, or a whole map if you're one of the flat earth people. But it's just one little spot on this whole earth. And nobody gives a shit about football if they're not American. Nobody cares about the NFL. Everybody else in the world watches football too, but we call it soccer because we're fucking dumb. Everybody else is like, a ball that you kick with your foot, let's call it foot to ball. And everybody knows football. In America, it's like, no. We got this other ball that you pick up with your hands and you throw it and you catch it. And sometimes you kick it, but not really. Only in certain occasions do you kick it. That's football. Get the fuck out. You're like, fuck you, man. Fuck you, America. No. Americans, they live in this bubble. Like, they think that everything that they do and say is the most important shit that ever was in the world. And you leave America, nobody gives a fuck about the NFL. Nobody cares. Nobody fucking cares. Some people overseas might watch it and go, oh, what the fuck is that? Oh, it's that stupid American bullshit that nobody cares about. Okay, back to the bike race or back to the soccer game. That's what the other people on Earth. You don't have, the other countries on Earth, they don't play football the way we play it. They play soccer. And they call it football because it made sense. So, no, I mean, 3 billion people watch the Tour de France. Maybe not beginning to end, glued to the TV 5 hours a day for 21 days, but 3 billion people would watch. 150 million people aren't glued to the Super Bowl the whole fucking game. They might go take a piss break for the halftime show. Like, I don't need to see Michael Jackson lip sync for 20 minutes. I'll go get some more nachos, right? You never know what the fuck they're going to do at the Tour de France. A guy jumped over the Tour de France on his mountain bike. You don't see someone showing up to an NFL stadium on a mountain bike and jumping over the fucking field. But in the Tour de France, that happened. The riders were going by. This dude on a mountain bike jumped over the fucking Tour de France on his mountain bike, landed on the other side of the road, planned this shit. He was the costume contest winner that year, for sure. His costume was mountain biker, but he pulled it off spectacularly. That might be the best costume of all time on the side of the road in the Tour de France. I honestly can't think of anything better. So it's kind of like riders. They're going so fast. They got to get food. NFL players, they want to eat. They go to the side of there's like a fucking buffet. They got their Gatorade. They got half an hour to do nothing but sit on the bench so they can eat and drink. But when the bike riders have to get food, they got to go zipping by a guy holding a water bag or a bag full of water bottles and food. They're going 30 to 50 miles an hour. They got to reach out their hand and grab a bag from somebody. They don't stop for that. They just grab it as they're going by. You'll see them miss. You'll see a guy grab a water bottle bag and it just goes boom, and water bottles and food go all over the place. Water bottles and food land in the road. Bike riders are hitting it, trying not to crash because there's food and water bottles all over the road. You could grab a feed bag, miss. The feed bag goes flying. It gets caught in someone's spokes. They go over their fucking handlebars. Like, it's fucking crazy. You don't see that in a football game. Lenny Martinez, polka dot jersey. He sent a teammate up in front of him to get the first hill climb sprint, or the first King of the Mountain point, because he wanted to keep anybody else from getting it. He wasn't feeling it, so he sent a teammate of his up to get it so that nobody else could get it that was competing with him. That's another dirty trick that you can do. You can send your teammates to go get points to take them away from people. That people that are close to you, that are ahead of you, you can be like, all right, go steal that point from so-and-so so he can't get it and catch up to me. The sprinters, Gramai and Milan, they sprinted to the first sprint point to keep this guy, Matthew Vanderpool, from getting the full 20 points in a mid-stage sprint. They weren't anywhere near the sprint, so they couldn't get the points for themselves. So they sent teammates up to keep this other guy from getting the points, to try and keep him, because this guy, Matthew Vanderpool, is an all-round rider, and he's trying to collect sprint points for the green jersey, and he's slowly catching up to this guy Milan now that they're in the hills. And this guy Milan can't climb a hill for shit. He can sprint all day long, but he can't climb a hill. So he's starting to lose points for that green jersey because other riders are nabbing these points. So they're sending other teammates up to try and steal the points from the guy who might actually take the green jersey. It's the whole thing's just a bunch of dirty tricks and games, and it's fun to watch because there's always something going on. There's always some dirty thing going on. There's always something to see. And even when the race gets boring, the helicopter will zoom out and show you a big giant cathedral, and they'll do like a loop around it, and then they'll tell you, oh, this is the Cathedral of Jean de Bang, and whatever it is. The Cathedral of Badashadang, or whatever. And so they'll tell you like what neighborhood this is, or they'll show you the views of the mountains. They'll show you all kinds of cool scenery and stuff. And so it's you can zone the fuck out and watch this, and you're not going to get bored. People who used to tell me that cycling was boring would watch the Tour de France and with me and get into it and be like, I want to watch the race. Let's watch the race. Like they would want to watch it all of a sudden because it's like this new thing, etc., etc. So another guy, his name was Cocard. Can't remember his first name. He was in the breakaway in the early part of the stage, but he fell 4 minutes behind. They showed him at the side of the road getting his hand taped up. And turns out he reached out to grab a water bottle and food bag, and he broke his fucking finger. The bag was so much force on his hand that it broke his finger trying to grab a food bag from the side of the road. And he just was like, fuck it. Just put some tape on it. And he kept going with a broken finger. But people are like, karma never forgets an address. Well, this guy, he caused a big crash on the third day of the Tour de France that took out the guy who had the green jersey and had already worn the yellow jersey on the first day. Can't remember his name, don't care. And so people were pissed at this guy. He got a yellow card. So if he had gotten another yellow card, he would have been kicked out of the race. So he had to lay low and not do anything douchey again. Now he's got a broken finger because he tried to grab a food bag and it broke his finger. He was going so fast. And so, this is the shit that happens. I know football players can break a finger and they'll be like, fuck it, just tape it up, I'll keep playing. Like, that, that happens. I've seen that. But the final hills, when they start getting into the mountains, they're actually in the Pyrenees mountains. Like they start in a town somewhere far away. They're going like 100 and something miles. But when they get to the mountain range, it's like, whoa, they go over this one hill and all of a sudden you see all the mountains in the background. And I'm just like, man, even if you are in last place in the Tour de France and you're just having a bad day, Like, you come over that hilltop and you see this fucking view of the most crazy, awesome looking mountains you've ever seen in your life. And you're like, man, that was worth it, wasn't it? Until you realize you got to go up that. Until you realize you got to climb that. But it is like, Phil Liggett said it's like riding into a shark's mouth. You go up over that hill and you see all these mountains, and you're just like, you're like, that's the first view the riders get of the mountains they're going into. And it's equally awesome and scary, like riding into a shark's mouth. But the Tour de France, it's this dramatic buildup. It's a slow burn. And even on the day that they go into the Pyrenees Mountains, they start outside the mountains. You can't see the mountains from where they start. And so it's just like, to me, it's like the coolest thing in sports. This dramatic, long build-up to, like, the mountains are like the pinnacle. The suspense builds like a movie, and then there's like the peak of the action, and then there's like the downhill part of the movie. That's the climax, is when they get to the mountains. The first mountain climb in stage 12 was 11.8 kilometers long, with an elevation of 4,836 feet at a 7.3% grade, and that's 7.5 miles. 7.5 miles climbing to an elevation of 4,836 feet. And as soon as they hit that mountain, the whole Tour de France comes unglued. Riders are getting dropped. Boom, 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 off the bed. They're going backwards because some of these people, they get to that first mountain and they're done. They already rode 70 miles to get there. And now they're just done, falling apart. The peloton is 2 minutes and 20 seconds behind the people up front. The first mountain was called the Col du Solor. The Col du Solor. I'm like, it's because you probably lose your soul in the process of climbing up that fucking thing. The leaders, the group in front, the 50-person group in the front, was down to 25 people in 2 kilometers. So they're like a third of the way up. They're not even a third of the way up the mountain. Half the people just dropped because they couldn't do it. The Martinez, king of the mountains, polka dot jersey, king of the mountains, got dropped right off the bat on the first mountain, and he's 30 seconds behind them. That might be the end of he might not be the king of the mountains anymore. He might be like prince of the mountains, or a duke of the mountains, but he's not king of the mountains anymore. With 3 kilometers left to the top of the hill, the lead group was down to 16 riders, down from 50. It went from 50 to 16. And they're just scattered all over this mountain now. Martinez found his way back down to the yellow jersey group of riders, and now they're all together. They're going at a pace. They let people go up ahead of them, and they're just going at their own pace, waiting to see if any of the contenders for the yellow jersey makes a move. Then the other person will have to attack and keep up with them. So that's a whole different game going on. Even though they're not in the lead that day of the race, there's a whole nother game going on back there in the middle of the crowd. That's where the leader of the whole Tour de France is. That's where that race is happening, at the same time that people are competing to win the stage for the day. There's they show the view. There's riders just swerving all over the fucking road, looking like they're going to pass out. It's a total massacre. They're just falling apart. First mountain climb of the tour, and they're just like, it's like a massacre on the side of the road. Martinez dropped all the way back. Now he's 2 minutes behind. Like, if you can't ride in the mountains, you can't be king of the mountains, can you? And 5K towards the 7K, only 15 riders are left in the pack, and the steepness becomes 10.5% grade, which is pretty steep. That dude Remco Evenepoel, he's in 3rd place overall in the Tour. He won the time trial stage. He got dropped like a hot mic. Boom. He's pretty much out. He's losing his chance in the white jersey. Ben Healy, the guy in the yellow jersey, he got dropped. He's way the fuck back. He can't go up these hills fast. So now Pogačar and Jonas Vingegaard, are neck and neck. They're staying together because they're the 2 top contenders, 1st and 2nd place. All they have to do is stay with each other, and they don't lose or gain time against each other. But if one of them goes, the other one has to try and go. So at 7 kilometers, a half a kilometer from the top of the hill, that initial group that had 50 riders all bunched up together was down to 3. Ben Healy, the guy in the yellow jersey, is hanging on for dear life, trying to stay within contention. He had 30 seconds to deal with, but he fell 10 seconds behind. Now he's down 40 seconds behind, and so 40 seconds, virtually, he doesn't have the yellow jersey anymore. He would have to claw back 10 of those seconds to keep it. So Ben Healy is also wearing the white jersey, but Remco Evenepoel is in 2nd place for the white jersey. So they're kind of having their own battle to who gets to keep the white jersey today. Macron, the douchebag president of France, was at the race that day because that's the big day in the mountains. So all the celebrities are there, and the president of France is there to greet the riders and all that, and shake hands and all that bullshit. So there's a guy named, the last kilometer on the first mountain, a guy named Michael Woods. He was alone. So in the last half of a kilometer, one rider left out of the group of 50 reached that mountaintop first, and he got all the points for that mountain and ended up in 3rd place for the polka dot jersey just for that. Now, at the same time, Ben Healy drops down to the point where he fell apart. In the yellow jersey, he's the leader of the Tour de France by 30 seconds that morning. Now he's 10 minutes behind Tadej Pogačar on one mountain climb. He went from being in the lead of the Tour de France 30 seconds behind 10 minutes to the now leader of the Tour de France. So that's how things change from one day to the next. It's crazy. There was a downhill section after the top of that mountain. They got to go down into a valley and climb up another freaking mountain to the finish line. They're hitting 65 to 70 miles an hour on the downhill side of the mountain. So Michael Woods, he got caught because he was not fully committed to the 70 mile an hour pace, and he got caught up by a couple of people. But Michael Woods, on the next climb, there was a little bit of a climb down the mountain, up and over a climb, and then up a major mountain. There was a 1-point climb that Michael Woods got ahead of everybody and got an extra point. Being 3rd place in the King of the Mountains, every point can help you. Ben Healy clawed his way back, got to within 5.5 minutes of Tadej Pogačar. But on that first mountain climb, the big players, they weren't attacking each other. They were just cruising. They weren't going slow, but they weren't trying to gain time on each other. And they really haven't. Jonas Vingegaard, how they pronounce it 20 different ways, and Tadej Pogačar really haven't gone toe-to-toe. much, except for the time trial. Even Remco Evenepoel found his way back to the yellow jersey group when it looked like he was done. He looked like he was finished. Found his way back. Another guy, Bruno Emery, he reached the second to the last climb first. So there was another climb in there somewhere, small one. But he opened up a 1 minute gap on the downhill. And before the start of the final climb in stage 12, he had a 2 minute gap between him and the group behind him. Then the chase groups all got caught, but this guy was 2 minutes ahead out front. And then there's a peloton behind him of basically that's everybody together. The last finish line of the day is on a mountain called Hautacam. 13 and a half kilometers to a height of 4,987 feet at a grade of 7% average. 8.5 miles higher and steeper. Jonas Vingegaard, he lost his whole team. They couldn't keep up. And Tadej Pogačar still had his teammates riding with him, helping him set the pace. But then Pogačar he didn't even sit up. He didn't even stand up off of his saddle. I never saw the dude stand up on his bike. He just takes off up this mountain and leaves Jonas Vingegaard behind with 11 kilometers to go. So 2 kilometers into the mountain climb, Pogačar takes off and just drops the motherfucker like a dirty rag. Just see a bitch, takes off. He was a minute and a half ahead of Jonas Vingegaard before Vingegaard could even do anything. You see this dude, Vingegaard, whatever his name, Jonas, just call him that for the rest of the day. He's getting up out of his saddle, trying to do something, and Pogačar's just sitting in the seat, going fucking balls to the wall, like it's nothing. Like he's just like, all right, I'm gonna go fast now. And Pogačar blew past the guy in front of him, Emery, who looked like he was 2 minutes ahead of the whole group. And Pogačar was just like, see ya, bitch, I'm going, I'm doing this. And it was basically just the 2-man battle. Jonas clawed back, he was down. He was down for a minute and a half. And he came back somehow and was 20 seconds behind. He got 10 seconds close to Vingegaard to Pogačar, and then he fell back again. Now he's 20 seconds behind. Pogačar reaches into his back of his jersey pocket and he throws a bunch of gel packs of food on the road to lighten his load, because every gram counts when you're climbing a mountain. And the commentators said he's going to get fined 500 francs for littering because he threw all this food and shit out onto the road. So he'll have to pay a 500 francs fine for littering in the Tour de France. And then another 500 because he threw a water bottle in the road and just kept going. But he didn't give a fuck. He's like, fuck it, I'm going. Now these riders, they throw their water bottles and food off to the side of the road all the time. But I guess it's because he just threw it in the road and not off the road. I don't know. He just kind of tossed it into the road. Maybe he was trying to set up a fucking dirty trick for the next rider to come. Like throwing a banana peel. Like when you're playing Mario Kart and you toss a banana peel out and hope somebody slips on it. Maybe that's what he was trying to do. I don't know. But 5 miles to go. Jonas Vingegaard, now he's dropped to 40 seconds behind. He clawed his way back up, and then he fell apart again. 4 miles to go, and now he's down to 50 seconds behind. He's moving backwards. 3.8 miles left in the race, and he fell back another 10 seconds to a minute and 0.2 of a mile. There's a runner. A lot of these people that's on these mountain climbs, I'm sure you've seen videos of it, when the riders are going up, the crowd comes in and crowds around the bike riders to the point where there's almost no room to even go up the mountain anymore. They just completely crowd up the road. And then you've got people who like to run next to the cyclist. Well, the video showed somebody was running next to Tadej Pogačar, like just running next to him, like cheering and running, and some guy in the crowd reached out and decked him and knocked him on his ass. Get the fuck away from the bikers. And that, like, when you don't see that shit in the Super Bowl, if somebody got punched in the crowd at the Super Bowl, they would be escorted out of the arena, probably banned from NFL games for the rest of their life. And there goes the $10,000 that you spent on your Super Bowl tickets halfway through the game. You don't even get to watch it. You don't even get to see the Super Bowl halftime show with wrinkled up old Madonna. You know what I'm saying? So, but in the Tour de France, you can punch a fucking spectator. That's all good. It's all good. It's good for the TV. 3 miles left to the top of the finish line. And Pogačar's a minute 15 ahead of Jonas Vingegaard. I mean, Tadej Pogačar is just slaughtering the entire Tour de France. Right now, on this climb, was the day that he just was like, all right, I'm murdering all of you motherfuckers. And that's it. He started a minute and 17 seconds ahead of Jonas Vingegaard, and he's already a minute 20 ahead of him in just that stage. So he's already farther ahead of Jonas during the stage of the tour than he was in the overall standings. So 11 stages, he got himself a minute 17 ahead. Now he's a minute 20 ahead for just the stage. So he's going to have a 3 to 4 minute lead at the end of the day if that keeps up. And he's going up this fucking mountain in the big chain ring. On your bicycle, when you look down, you've got your small chain ring, your big chain ring, maybe a small one, like a third one. Road bikers usually have 2. He's in his big fucking chain ring going up a mountain. He's in his big gear like he's going on a downhill, except he's going up a fucking mountain. He's in his downhill gear going up the mountain. And he's smiling. The whole time he's just laughing and smiling and having a good time. And you see this fucking guy Jonas, he's crying, he's like grimacing. He's clutching his handlebars, desperately trying to ride. And this dude, Tadej Pogačar, is just like, like he didn't even got a care in the world. And even Lance Armstrong would have a look on his face like he was trying. This fucking cat, Pogačar, it's just like he's out on a Sunday bike path ride through the woodlands with the family. He's not even trying. Or at least that's the look he was given. He's slaughtering the entire herd all at once. That was the part of the race where I was like, I'm watching stage 15 right now, but when I saw that in stage 12, I'm like, game over. Shit's done. That's over. Nobody's catching this guy. If he's riding up that mountain looking like that, and the second place guy in the Tour de France is like struggling and putting his entire heart and soul into his bike, and he's just dropping, he's going backwards down the fucking mountain. Who's going to catch this guy? Who's going to beat him? Nobody's going to beat him. So when I saw the headlines, I was like, yeah, no shit. I knew who won. I knew who won the Tour de France after the time trial because it was kind of obvious. But the first day in the big mountain, it was like, yeah, Tadej Pogacar won the Tour de France. He's probably never even going to give up the yellow jersey for the rest of the time. Stage 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. He's probably never going to give up the yellow jersey from that day forward. Will never fall off his shoulder. Now, in the Alps that are to come, the elevations are it's like the difference between the Pyrenees and the Alps are like the difference between the North Carolina Smoky Mountains and Blue Ridge Mountains versus the Rocky Mountains in Colorado and the Rocky Mountain Range in near Seattle and the West Coast mountain ranges. Much bigger. So the elevations in the Alps are going up to like 19,000 feet, not 4,000 to 6,000 feet, 19,000 feet. So we're still not there. But this guy Jonas looks like he's fucking dying. It looks like it looks like he's just gonna go to bed and cry all night. And Tadej didn't even look like he was trying. He didn't even look like he's like, I'll work hard when we get to the Alps, but right now I'm just cruising. I'm out with my family on the bike path on Sunday. That's how he rode up that whole fucking mountain like it was. He never got out of his seat and stand up on the bike. He just rode like he was just on a cruise. I've never seen anything like that. The gap was 1.5 minutes. One of the riders got smashed in the face with a fan's flag. Just fucking got all tangled up on his fucking... You're riding up a fucking mountain in the Tour de France and some spectator, you get someone's flag wrapped around your fucking head. You can't see where you're going anymore. Like, what the... Trying to fucking peel a flag off your face while you're going up this fucking mountain. Like, when you don't see that in the Super Bowl. At the 2-kilometer banner, the lead was 1 40 seconds between Tadej Pogacar and Jonas Vingegaard. Another spectator's sign got... Here's another example. A spectator's cardboard sign got stuck to a motorcycle because the crowds, they're like this around the rider. Tadej rode up to the fucking motorcycle and pulled the sign off the motorcycle that was stuck on the motorcycle, handed it to the rider and gave him a wave and was like that. He's not even fucking concentrating on going up one of the hardest mountain climbs in the whole Tour de France. He's like, oh, let me get that for you. He goes up to the motorcycle, dislodges this cardboard sign that got stuck in the fucking motorcycle, hands it to the motorcycle driver, is like, here you go. Cool, all right, good. And then the motorcycle is like, thanks. Like he's got time for that. He's got time to do that. And now the gap is 1 45 minutes behind the second place in the Tour de France. He gets to the 1 kilometer banner where now the crowd can't crowd in on you and there's barriers and you have the whole road to yourself. And now the time gap is 1 55 seconds. But Tadej finally, he has a grimace on his face. He looks like he's hurting and he's trying. But he's obviously, the only thing he could do to fuck that up would be to fall off his bike. Like, the Hillary Clinton meme where Hillary Clinton is like this at the finish line and then she loses control and falls and then Donald Trump comes riding into the finish line and beats her. That's the only way he could fuck this up at this point. So he's getting his 20th stage win in his Tour de France career. This guy would have taken Lance Armstrong and fucking slaughtered him. Would have made Lance Armstrong look like an amateur hour biker. Even with all the juice and the testosterone and the dirty blood bags and all the things that Lance Armstrong did to cheat, this guy would fucking kill him. Like, I can't even believe I'm watching this shit. You've never seen anybody ride like this on a bike ever. And I'm like, it just can't, you can't look at what Lance Armstrong did and then find out he was cheating. But this guy is like, it's like fucking Superman came from the planet Krypton, decided, oh, I'm going to ride a bike. And he goes to the Tour de France just because it was fun and the scenery was nice. But he doesn't actually, he actually had, like, Superman would have to, like, lay low if he didn't want, like, if Clark Kent decided to be a cyclist, he would have to, like, hold back, because you can't win the Tour de France you can't get to the top of the mountain at the end of the day 3 hours ahead of the second place rider without someone thinking something's not right. And that's what this guy's like. It's like he's almost like holding back because he's not even from this planet. And he's got to hold himself back because people think something's up. People will know he's not human. It's fucking weird, man. It's crazy. It's not even, it's fucking weird. Jonas Vingegaard, however you pronounce it, second place of the stage, 2 minutes and 10 seconds behind Tadej. Now remember, at the bottom of the mountain, Tadej and all these people were like behind the leaders. And he was just like, and he gets up and he just starts riding fast. The dude's ass never left the bike seat, which means he wasn't even trying. He wasn't even like sprinting. He didn't try. Tadej Pogačar got enough points winning the stage that he got the polka dot jersey. He's not only the yellow jersey now, he's got the King of the Mountains too. Ben Healy, the guy in yellow, he comes across the finish line in his yellow jersey, 7:16. He's got 2 kilometers to go, and he's 7 minutes and 16 seconds behind. There are riders that are going to take an hour to an hour and a half to get to the finish line after Tadej crossed the finish line. And this is the day after Tadej Pogačar had a crash going like 40 miles an hour and skinned his arm up. Got all busted up. So, I mean, but I'm just saying, I watched this. I did see the spoilers that said he won the Tour de France. Honestly, the only thing that could spoil it from here is he got caught cheating. And I see that headline before it. But, I mean, I knew after stage 12, I'm like, there's your Tour de France winner right there. Nobody, who in the fucking world could beat this guy? Nobody. Not even Lance with all the juice couldn't touch this motherfucker. I mean, could not even come close to this. Ben Healy, guy who was in the yellow jersey that morning, 13 and a half minutes later crosses the finish line. He was 30 seconds ahead. Now he's 13 minutes behind. He's not even in 10th place. Metallica dude, I never fucking saw that guy. The whole race, never saw the Metallica dude. He's always in the mix. Not today. He wasn't anywhere to be found. So yeah, there's a couple other spoilers that came. Supposedly a guy snuck into the Tour de France pretending to be a racer, and the cops beat the shit out of him. I don't know if that's real or not. I haven't seen it happen. But that is the best costume of the Tour de France. If that happened, I think the best costume of the Tour de France would be pretending to be a racer in the Tour de France, crossing the finish line, getting the shit kicked out of you by the French police. I think that's the winner. You can't beat that costume. Second place all time to the guy who jumped, the mountain biker who jumped over the Tour de France. Tadej Pogačar has 27 points for the King of the Mountains jersey after stage 12, tied with Lenny Martinez, but because the final climb of the day was beyond category, they used that as a tiebreaker, so Tadej Pogačar got the polka dots. Remco Evenepoel still in third place overall, and he got the white jersey because Ben Healy was so far behind. He lost the yellow jersey and the white jersey that day. He ain't got no jersey no more. Ben Healy he got killed that day. Poor guy from Ireland. He took a bath that day. Tade didn't even want to seem to shake hands with the French president, which I was like, because the Macron came up trying to shake hands with him and be all buddy-buddy with him, and Tade Pogacar was like, get the fuck away from me. And I'm like, I have a little more respect for you, Tade, because, I wouldn't want to get too close to a guy who's married to a man either. But if I was in the yellow jersey and President Macron came up to me, I would be like, hey, Macron, you want to go have a little bump? Little, how do you, say, booger sugar? I want to go get a little, or the booger sugar. How do you say in French? Booger sugar. Little white baggie. We all saw Macron get caught with a fucking bag of Coke with his buddies at the table in that one video, and he's all like, oh shit, the cameramen came, and they're all trying to like nonchalant, like, I got a whole story about something like that from my past, but where that I don't want to go on another side trip. But I don't know. That's about it for stage 12. I'm at an hour and 21 minutes here, and that's going to be my last video for today. It definitely does not look like I'm going on a bike ride today, so that's good. I'm gonna get some other things done, and I'm gonna rest, and I'm going to. It's too late. It's not too late for me to go to the bank right now, but I'm tired. It would be better if anything, I'll go to the bank tomorrow. If I'm gonna go get this heart rate monitor, so I added it all up. I can get two things that would cost $300 to buy new for $75 if I go on Facebook Marketplace and meet these two people. A backup pair of cycling shoes. I would have 3 pair of cycling shoes after spending $15 plus $25 for a set of cleats at some point for my new shoes I just got for free. And a heart rate monitor for my chest that I can wear at the bakery and see how much I burn. $60, that's half off of what it would cost new. And so for $75, I can cross 2 things off my list that I want to get. I just have to ride 20 miles each way to get them. But I don't want to go to get one thing. If I can line it up so that both of these people on Facebook Marketplace will line up and say, hey, you can come do it tomorrow, I'll go do both of them tomorrow. And I'll probably go to the bank as well, even though I've got to go 7 miles in the opposite direction. So that might be 7, 14, plus 40, 54 miles in a day. That's about what I ride to go to the bakery and back. So if I can go to the bank, get the 2 things that 75% off 2 things that are on my list, all because I'm willing to go on a bike ride to do it. That'll make the bike ride worthwhile. Plus the fact that the bike ride will be on roads and in different places I've never been. The interest, the scenery, the change of scenery, and like, oh, there's another thing. I'll be able to I'll have enough to look at and enough to occupy my mind that I won't feel like I'm riding as far as I am on my bike. Whereas when I go to the bakery and back, it's the same thing every day. Unless there's a few different variations that I can do. I always cross the same bridge, generally. Well, there's 2 bridges. But there's multiple ways for me to get to and from the bakery, but it's not really that much variety. So going someplace new that I've never been, just in and of itself makes it interesting. And if I can save 75% and cross off a couple items off my list, even if they're more items that they're far down on my list, but the opportunity to go get these things for a deep, deep discount motivates me. It's kind of like I wanted to get a power supply in case the power goes out, but I really wasn't going to do it. but then I was able to get one for 25 bucks and then buy a $25 battery, which is still cheaper than the cheapest ones available. Now I have it. So it's the same thing. Like, get it while the getting's good, I guess they say. And so with that, I'll say see you later. We'll cover stage 13 of the Tour de France, probably 3 weeks after the Tour de France ends. You'll be getting that update. But if you watch this whole video, you understand that you get commentary and information about sports that you wouldn't get anywhere else. And with that, I'm just going to say see you later. Peace out. We'll talk again.